2024 and we are heading for a new general election. Maybe it's time to think about the history of our current government. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's hard to remember a time before a Tory government was in place. It's also hard to remember any time where any of our Prime Ministers rose from any kind of dignity. Take for example two former Tory Prime Ministers who both rose from the quagmire of the Eton Bulletin Club, perhaps the British insidious 1980s equivalent of the Hitler Youth. Of course, I am talking about Bojo the Clown and David Cameron. Yes, an easy mistake to make. Both figures are in a position of power, similar names, different industries, but hold the same level as Snake Oilsman's sales ship. Now then, I'm not going to make the obvious jokes about Boris Johnson and David Cameron, other than Boris Johnson, the unofficial obvious descendant of a certain Yorkshire BBC womble, the sort of womble that you could condense into an hour of fame and create 60 years of pain, much like Boris Johnson. But like I said, enough of the obvious jokes, they'll come later. Now in terms of David Cameron, all the possible jokes have been made about him, so I won't divulge into decreasing the quality of my videos by doing so, but certain observations can be made, like for example his legacy, apart from one particular thing, may also go down as the Tory emblem of the blank, expressionless face. Look, maybe it's an Eton thing, I don't want to generalise or anything, but David Cameron has always seemed to me like the sort of wooden drama figure that if it suddenly came to life and decided to draw what its interpretation of her face looks like, you would get David Cameron. So moving on from that, this year the government are calling for a general election, and it seems that the Labour Party are going to take the majority vote. I think everybody tends to believe this is going to happen. Now for some people this will be a sort of worst case scenario considering the last Labour government left. Only keep in mind that there will probably be lesser pigs with sorer anuses. And on top of this, the species of animals might be safer too. It's just with another Tory government, with the police service being cut down, the police service run the risk of not being able to pay enough money to get the right sort of toilet roll. But just note one thing with the Labour government. Our Prime Minister will be Sir Keir Starmer, a man who in his time of being a lawyer let a certain BBC Yorkshire womble run rampant upon the community. But also take into consideration during this time, the BBC had free annual health checks for younger people with a gynaecologist dressed as Jimmy Savile. So at least some positives can be seen with this, maybe in a HIV sort of way. So I think the point is that I think we can all agree that both Tory and Labour are morally bankrupt arseholes. Yeah.